Hotline. I'm Monica Weitzel, and we are here now talking with organizations that make a difference in your community. And our guest tonight is we call you E.C.H.O, which is your acronym for the East County Historical Organization. Mm-hmm. And representing E.C.H.O, we have Twyla Meisinger. You are the president.
I am.
And a volunteer president, correct?
Yes, exactly.
And Casey Howson, you're the social media person and also a volunteer.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Great to have you both here.
Thank you.
So this is an all-volunteer organization, correct?
It is. It is.
And how long has it been around? And can you give me a little bit of history?
Yeah, the organization was formed in 1987, and their focus was really largely at that time Fairview and Rockwood. And then Isabel Zimmerman was looking for a historical society to give her house to, and she chose us. And we were actually the Fairview Rockwood Wilkes Historical Society until last year. Yeah, we decided that it was kind of time for rebranding, a refresh of the name. Fairview Rockwood Wilkes doesn't really...
Kind of a mouthful.
Yeah. So, and we loved the image of E.C.H.O relative to history. And so we almost had to kind of work
it around so you could come up with a good acronym.
But it also allows us to not be bounded by just the Fairview Rockwood Wilkes communities. And if there's opportunities to extend to other local areas, we could do that as well.
So what other areas would you expand to?
Well, there's some unincorporated areas. Blue Lake, there actually is a historical society there at one point. Not sure how active they are. We've talked about Wood Village because at different times when there's been interest to proceed on the property there for the dog track, you know, if we lost the dog track, one of the things I immediately think about is, oh my gosh, there's all this stuff people probably have. All the memorabilia of having gone there, all their great memories, their winning ticket stubs, all their losing ticket stubs.
More losing than winning, I'm sure.
And if that building disappears, you'd kind of want to get a whole lot of photos and then get all that memorabilia saved. Because that's a big part of East County history.
Yeah. How long was that there, do you know?
Decades.
Yeah.
No,
I remember going there once when I was,
I used to go there as a kid.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So there's a lot of history, obviously, everywhere, but there's a lot of history, and it's being preserved, much of it through your organization. Now, to do that, you have a couple of main focuses. I know you've got the museums, the houses, but what would you say is your main mission as an organization?
Well, the mission is, your classic ones of wanting to preserve history for future generations so that we don't lose touch with our past. Our tagline is actually "Step into the past with us," because that's kind of what you do when you visit either museum. We do have two. The Heslin House is in Old Fairview. The Zimmerman House is on 171st and Sandy, which is actually in Gresham. And both places, you actually sort of just walk back into time. And there's a lot of value in people seeing how folks used to live, the hobbies they used to have before the internet. We have some crazy hobbies.
There was a time before the internet,
It's amazing. There's things like hair art at the Zimmerman House on exhibit, where people would actually take very long hair and weave it and braid it and do all kinds of amazing things. Sometimes as a memorial to someone who's passed away. Sometimes as just, a beautiful piece of art.
Wow.
I mean, that's something you just don't see every day.
Well, you know, not only don't see it every day, but you don't even know that it exists.
It exists.
So,
Right. Yes.
yeah, and it's fun. It's interesting to go back and find out how people lived, and sometimes to wonder how they could do it.
Yes.
Because our lives are so far removed from even 100 years ago.
And I think
Yes.
there's something to be said for feeling connected to the place where you live. You know, I feel like a lot of times we just we drive off to our jobs somewhere else, we come home, we watch the television, and we don't really connect to where we are
Right.
and, you know, what this community has been. And I think that connecting to the past in your community can help you connect to the community as a whole, you know, and really, you know, come together and feel more a part of a place.
All right, well said. And so many of the families are no longer here, but a lot of them still are. There's a lot of families that still have their ancestors, you know, buried in the plots around town. Do those people, are they involved with their museums? Do you have local people donate and?
Yes, our Heslin House Museum is still what we consider open, so folks that have memorabilia from East County, we will accept it under some circumstances.
Right.
You know, people say, oh, I have this piano. Well,
How many pianos can you take?
yeah, and we've only got so much space.
Yeah,
But the Zimmerman House is a closed collection because that's all Zimmerman family items.
Okay. And I drive by that all the time, and I still have not been there. And I keep. It's one of those places I keep. You know, it's on my little bucket list. I want to stop by there, and I see the signs up saying it's open. It's open certain days of the year. Is that
open,
right?
It's open this weekend.
Okay. Oh, so it's this weekend.
Third Saturday every month, so we're open this weekend. We've got the Valentines out at both houses, both, especially the Zim House, but the Heslin House actually has a decent collection of Valentines as well.
And these are from
They're from the
bygone
family.
days. Yeah. Casey, tell me, you've been involved, haven't you, with the Valentine tea that's coming up? Is that
Yeah,
right?
so
What can you tell me about that?
So we have our Victorian Valentine's Day tea coming up on February 14th. It's going to be at 1 p.m. and we're going to have a wide selection of tea and scones, fresh fruits. There'll be door prizes, raffle, and it's going to be kind of a fun event where we're encouraging people to maybe wear some hats or put on their gloves, maybe something fun to bring your children or grandchild to. So we brought a couple of hats to inspire people.
I love it.
From our collection. These are both from the Zimmerman House collection. So these were owned by the Zimmerman family. And the one that I have here, this is a turn of the century piece.
That's a big hat.
Yeah, it's huge. You had to have quite the
Big hair.
the hair to
It
wear
reminds
this.
me of the hats that they wear at the Kentucky Derby, you know,
Yes.
those kind of hats.
Yes.
Yes. And then Twyla, you have which one?
This is a 1960s cloche.
Yeah, that's great. I can't picture my mother wearing that in the 60s, but I know there must have been people who did. I had aunts who would possibly wear those. So if people want to come, and this is for men, women, kids too?
Oh, yeah,
right?
kids
Anybody
definitely.
can come. Bring grandma, whoever you want to bring, and then you can dress in period. If you have some, you know, if
Right,
you have
if
nice,
you-
nice gloves and nice hats, and maybe a string of pearls or something,
Yeah.
a cameo brooch.
Just an opportunity to have a little bit of fun with it.
Fun. And where is that going to be held?
It's going to be held at the Quail Hollow Clubhouse, which is on Northeast Sandy.
Okay.
And you can find out more information by going to our website, echohistory.org.
Is this a fundraiser for?
Yeah, all
society?
proceeds from this will go right to our continuing preservation and restoration efforts.
It must take some funds, obviously, to keep it going and to keep everything in good condition. How are you supported?
Historically, we've been supported through donations and membership, but several years ago, the voters of Multnomah County agreed to a 5-year levy. So right now, Oregon Historical Society and 4 of the smaller ones are enjoying a little bit of tax levy funds.
Nice.
Those are slated to finish up in January of 2016. And so then we'll go back to
Trying
doing
hard to
fundraisers like the
Right,
Victorian,
right.
the Victorian tea.
And so since you're an all-volunteer organization, then I assume you have a need for more volunteers too.
Oh, yes.
What are some of the things volunteers could do for the Historical Society?
Having these 2 different house museums means that there is a huge variety of volunteer needs. I just started volunteering a few months ago, and there was all kinds of things to get involved with right away, whether you're interested in gardening, all the way to genealogy research, helping in the collection, working with the website. there's really just such a huge variety of things that we
Okay.
could utilize help with. And
Okay. So no matter what your interest is, there's probably
Exactly.
something that can be filled by being there.
Yeah, I mean, we're essentially a small business.
Right.
You know, so
right.
you have all those things that need to get done. And we do try to make sure that whatever interests people is what they do. It's not like,
Right.
well, even though Casey loves to do social media, no, you can't do that. You've
You
got to
have
work in the garden.
I love it. I noticed on your website that you have a couple openings on your board. Is that something you're trying to fill?
Yes, yeah. You know, that's always a difficult thing.
It is.
Even though, you know, I don't always quite understand it because a board meets once a month at most. But people do hesitate to come, and we'd love to have some new people come to get some different ideas. A lot of us have been with the group for a long time, and there always is that tendency to do what you've always done.
Right, but some fresh blood sometimes brings some really nice new ideas.
Yes.
And I bet you Casey will come up with some
Yes.
good ones too.
We haven't teased her into being on the board yet. That's next.
Oh,
But I've got to say, you know, sometimes when you volunteer for a historical organization, there's this stereotype that it's a bunch of older retirees. And I've got to say, since I started volunteering here, that's not what I've seen.
Really?
You know, there's such a wide variety of people who've come and volunteered with this organization, and it
That's
was nice for
refreshing to hear,
me
actually.
to see.
Well,
Yeah, it's been fun lately, especially we've had several teenagers working with us.
Really?
And that's both kind of unusual and it's been a hoot because they do bring such a different perspective.
Well, it seems to me like that's a great opportunity to educate, you know, kids and young people as to, you know, their past and how important it is to learn from your past and to, like you were saying, Casey, to have that connection to your community. So do you ever have events that actually revolve around young people, around teenagers or kids, or?
We have not. You know, one of the difficulties with house museums is everything is pretty much don't touch.
Right, right.
So it's kind of not the most kid-friendly place to
Right.
be. Although it's fascinating in doing tours, the kids get that much better than the adults. You ask the kids not to touch anything,
And they're-
they don't. It's
the-
the mom and the dads that
They
are.
can't keep their hands off.
Yeah. But it's certainly, we've done a couple of programs years ago with the elementary schools. We'd like to get back into that more. But that's a feature really of finding the right volunteer to pull that off.
Because that seems like that would be a great opportunity to either go into the schools or have them field trips out to the
yeah.
museums and check it out. Although when I go past the Zimmerman house and that great big lawn out there, I keep thinking Easter egg hunt. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it just looks like the perfect place for a great big Easter
Well,
egg hunt.
you know, it would be, except we don't have the facilities to support it.
Right, right.
And so one of the big things that we're wanting to do is to rebuild the two-story bunkhouse that was originally there on the Zimmerman house property. The bunkhouse was there until the late 1930s. The dairy hands, because it was a 600-acre dairy at its height, that's actually who lived in the bunkhouse.
600 acres.
Yeah.
That's huge.
So we'd like to rebuild it, use the second story for total storage, because right now, 3 rooms at the Heslin house and about 2 rooms at the Z house are so full of stuff that they're not well exhibited. And actually, you can't even go upstairs at the Heslin house right now. So we would use that second story for that. The first floor would be half workspace for us so that we could get things out and leave them out, because right now, we worked last night at the Z house. We had to put everything away because we're doing tours this weekend. So you get everything out and then
no
you
place to leave it. Right,
put it
right.
back
You're right in
away.
the middle of your project. And what you said, if you don't have enough space, you can't properly display the items. So would
Exactly.
would you ideally have a revolving, how do I want to say that, a rotating kind of exhibits?
We do that actually now, just
Oh, you
like
do?
the
Okay.
Valentines are out now.
Oh,
We'll
of
leave
course,
them
yeah.
out.
Christmas probably is old.
Exactly. We just finished putting all of that away. The other half of the first story of the bunkhouse will be kind of a catering kitchen and meeting space and restrooms. And then that would allow us to do an Easter egg hunt. And I think you have a photo of our hoped.
Yes, and thank you
that
for
we can
reminding me. We do have some photos, so yeah, if we can bring those up, maybe you can tell the viewers what it is we're looking at here.
This is actually the sitting room of the Zimmerman house. It was done last fall, so the Valentines aren't out in this photo, but they're actually on that table today.
Great.
This is the exterior of the Heslin house, which is at 60 Main Street in Old Fairview. That house was built in about 1893.
Wow. still structurally sound?
It is. This is the Zimmerman House on the left, and then the far building on the right is an artist's rendition of what the bunkhouse would look like. We do have a couple of photos of the original bunkhouse, so our architect took those photos and made sure that the lines were about the same so that they'll look similar.
It's a beautiful
This
house.
is the Zim House back in, I think, June of 2014. We
Gorgeous.
just
a lot of
redone
work in the yards, huh?
Yeah, we've got a
Yes.
couple of great volunteers and a couple of gardening clubs that are now coming and doing maintenance, which is huge because weeds just pop up everywhere.
Sure.
And this is the interior of the Heslin House. So here you're going to see a lot of Heslin family artifacts and then things that have been donated by the community from the Fairview, Rockwood, Wilkes areas. So it's kind of more of an eclectic collection from a lot more families.
Tell me again the time periods. One was built when, and when was the other one
The
built?
Heslin House was built in 1893, the Zimmerman House in 1874.
Okay, so not that far apart.
Yeah,
But
they're pretty similar.
They're similar, but one is a little more ostentatious. It looks like
I
than the
believe
other.
that the Zimmerman family was one of the first few families in this area.
Yeah, they're
Is that
one of
right?
the founding families for
Yeah.
actually the Fairview area. And the Heslin House was originally built as a boarding house. So it wasn't really built as nicely because
Right.
the intent was to be a boarding house. And
Right,
so,
right. People are coming, people are going. They didn't have
And
it
it
invested.
tended to be guys, and
Yeah.
so you build a little differently for the guy working class.
So, Casey, since you're kind of new to this, what has been the most surprising thing to you in working with a historical organization?
I think, well, I'll first say one of the most fun things for me is getting to handle the artifacts. And, I just held a hat that's of 100 years old just a second ago. And that is
You don't
just
do that every day.
Yeah, so that's, it's always a surprise to hold something new like that. It's always something fun. But I think just in terms of working with this particular organization, I was surprised and impressed by how organized they are and what a vision they have for where they want this organization to go in the future. Because I think a lot of times, county historical societies, they're just volunteer run and they don't necessarily have that vision. And it was exciting for me to see that this organization does have that vision. And so that kind of makes you want to be a part of it even more.
Yeah, well, that's good news, and that that bodes well for the future of the organization.
Yeah.
That you'll probably be around for a long time. So.
Yeah.
So if you had anything you could say about the organization, like where you see it going. I mean, we know you want the bunkhouse to be built, but do you have a long-term strategic plan for other things you want to have happen with the organization?
I think that we would all love to have the museums open 5 to 7 days a week. Right now, because of volunteers, we're open. We've been historically open every Saturday in the summer. We're going to rethink that, I think, this summer because Saturdays the visit rates really sort of dropped, and we're wondering if there's too much competition on the weekends.
Well, there's a lot that goes on in this community.
But to be able to be open like a real museum more than a day a month in the off season would be great, because it's really difficult to think you're sharing all of these beautiful hats and the Valentines and all those things a day a month.
Right, that's really not enough.
Yeah. So for me, that would be success, is if we could have the 2 museums open 5 days a week, my work would be done.
That sounds good. I would really love to see kids get involved more too, like going
Right.
out there and taking the tours and maybe having educators come out there and actually tying that history in with their lives now. That's it's a beautiful thing. I like what you said about it really roots you to your community, connects you to your community. So if people are interested in going to the Victorian Tea, that is going to be on February 14th, Valentine's Day. And that's at 1 p.m. At the Quail Hollow Clubhouse on Northeast Sandy, and that's in Fairview, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then the next museum tour day is going to be the 21st?
No, it's this Saturday.
Oh, it's this Saturday, okay.
Yep, noon to 4. Both homes will be open.
Okay, so if people want to check it out, they can go to your website.
They can, echohistory.org.
See, that's so easy now, isn't it?
Yes.
That's great. Well, thanks very much, both of you, Twyla and Casey, for coming today and sharing about the historical organization. And I know when I read about the new name, I thought, we need to get you guys on so we can find out what else is going on. So it's exciting stuff. And will you be out there? Are you out there on the weekends sometimes?
I'm going to be there Saturday at the Zim House.
Okay. Well,
So come on down.
If I can do it, I'll be looking for you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
You bet. And thanks for watching Community Hotline. And we're here every week, so We'll see you next time.